So I actually think that a lot of the reasons that there's so much noise and crap in the market is because we're not growing by market demands, we're growing by venture capitalist or PE backed demands, saying we have to have this growth in order to generate a return for our investors. And as a result, it's actually not market focused, it's more investor focused. So for starters, recognizing it's way easier to not be so stressed out about the demands of growth when you actually grow based on market demands. And that's why we focus so much on generating lots and lots of helpful content. Because if we are helpful to the market will demand our services. That's pretty much it. What we're trying to do through these AI generated or mass outbound programs is manufacture demand, which won't work if you try to do that at scale with no personalization or relevance to your market. So if you have to do something, because again, I don't think I'm going to convince anyone to become un-PE backed. That's a very difficult web to untangle. But what you can do is get really specific to your cohorts of accounts and actually create personalization based on cohorting, not to the individual. What I have found is when you do individual personalization, it actually doesn't help that much because I don't care if you know where I went to college. I've actually seen it be detrimental because I keep getting outbound messages from clearly AI saying, we've helped marketing agency owners like you in Whitestown, Indiana. I live in a city that is 4 blocks. There are no other marketing agency owners in Whitestown. And even if there were, that wouldn't be relevant. I don't serve my local area. I serve a global scale.
Yeah.
We're a remote first agency. So in short, if you cohort by accounts of growth stage industry specific personas and you're personalized and super nuanced to the individuals in that context, you will have a higher likelihood of actually being relevant and helpful. Last thing, and then I'll throw out on this, and this was just a mind bender for me like 2 weeks ago, and I feel like an idiot. But I don't primarily serve seed or Series A. I was talking with an agency center that served seed or Series A, and he said, yeah, the big unlock for me was when I stopped trying to sell them agency services based on revenue generation. What do you mean? And he elaborated that seed and Series A actually don't care about revenue. What they care about are making their growth metrics look really, really good so they can go get further investment for their Series A or their Series B. So they then have the revenue runway or the growth runway or the investment runway to generate significant sustainable revenue. But seed and Series A, apparently CMOs at those stages don't actually care about revenue. They just care about growth metrics. So making sure that you're actually personalized and nuanced by that cohort of accounts to what they care about in the weird nuances of how they care about it.
How do you approach cohort personalization in your ABM campaigns?
So it's typically problem based. And I know that sounds very basic in nature, but getting really granular and specific to the exact problem that they're experiencing and obviously using their language. Like, I guess and I kind of hate this answer because it is the right answer, but it's the same answer everyone says, but then they try to do it in ways that are not actually the right way. Meaning they're like, yeah, we cohorted our accounts by like fintech. And it's like, fintech is a huge cohort.
Yeah.
Or like HR tech. It's like, you know how much stuff is in HR tech? Like there's payroll, there's benefits, there's ATS systems, there's performance improvement. So like there's tons and tons of cohorts just within HR tech. So when I talk about it that way, it's not just, oh yeah, we serve B2B SaaS as our cohort. No, that's not a cohort. That's like a business model. What you need to do is get to the example that I heard from someone yesterday is like we actually got down to expense management software as a cohort of accounts that we served extraordinarily well. It's like that's incredible. So it's not just HR or fintech or B2B SaaS. That's stupid. You need to get more granular to we help expense softwares increase win rates or decrease churn within their customer. Like however you can get that granular and specific and speak their language is how you then effectively cohort your accounts in such a way that is actually personalized in a way that is somewhat scalable.
But when you're talking about these problems, right? How do you what's your personally go-to approach to actually identifying these problems, but proof back. So it's not just, assuming what are the problems, but actually knowing what are the problems. I guess one way to do that is by actually talking with your ICP on a podcast or, something like that. But if someone is, to start creating the ABM campaign right now, before he actually goes out to, talk to these people, what are your ways of identifying these problems on a little bit, bigger scale, faster?
You
If you get
shouldn't.
what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I understand what you're trying to say. You shouldn't do that. Like it's if you're going to build an ABM program, it should be based on your best fit customers, meaning like you look at your current customer base, you're like, who do we serve super, super well that stays for a long time, that's really happy and like is highly profitable. Like that's how I think about ABM programs, which means you got them at some point already. And what I find is for most organizations, they need to start again super problem based of just like what's the premise of the problem that we solve. So I'll give you quick context. Scrappy EBM started with messaging that was around you don't need a 200K tech stack to get started. That was fine and dandy. Here's the real problem with that. A third of our customers still use like a 200K tech stack. And we didn't recommend that they buy it, but they have it. Like, well, shoot, that's actually not the problem because some of these people like actually have the budget. And the problem is they just don't have a program or a process that's repeatable in nature. So like we had a premise of a problem. We've gotten way more refined in our messaging to talk about ABM enablement, meaning you need support building out repeatable systems and processes that are your ABM program that you can inevitably own in-house. So that's how we've gotten more specific. And then as a result, when we go out to market to specific accounts that we now know, we typically serve the 20 to $100 billion range mid-market space with 3 to 8 marketers and a dedicated sales team that's already doing some form of outbound. Like that level of specificity came because we worked at our customers and said, these are the top 20% of our most effective customers that get the best value from us. Why don't we go get more of those? So I'm not guessing at the problem that I solve. I know it, like, because I just said, these are our best customers. I want to go get more of these. And that's an ABM program. It's just getting more of your best customers.